It's on now.
So when you throw off to get
You can, it won't hurt anything.
And Doug Thomas, social studies, and Todd Kansas.
They just come and go.
It depends on where
Stay
they
up. And let those kids put stuff in. And if the city's gonna either get it, we'll have to get a new vault probably. Get a new vault, put back in the ground, and in 50 years, those kids can open it back up. If the city's okay, we gotta get it okay too. And if I need to come to city council, I can, whatever I need to do.
I don't see any problem. I mean, we already knew we were gonna dig it up, so why not put it back?
There's enough head on that stone that we can put the class in there that year, and get a bunch of the old teachers going. We still got Gerald Tolliver's speech that he gave that day, and we told Doug Thomas we wanted him to give a speech, and then we'll probably get somebody out. I think Jerry got somebody out of the governor's house. I think the governor come, but I think one of his people did. So I'm gonna reach out to Braun and see if I can get one of his staff to come down that day. We're gonna do it the Friday afternoon before the parade on Saturday. Todd's one of the kids out of school, just like we did, and come over and the city, the school is all, we're wound up tighter than 10 right there, so.
Good.
I think it's gonna be a good thing.
Well, we'd already talked about it a little bit, but we hadn't talked about what day, but you've already kind of
Yeah,
zeroed
we
in.
kind of got that, we was gonna do it the Saturday before, but we thought more of our classmates would be home on Friday because we come home.
Missed you at the J-RAC meeting yesterday.
We're gonna call, reach out to them, because we donated the ball. So we're gonna see if they would be willing to come dig it up, what better advertisement than 50 years later, you open the ball, and see how cool it is.
Yeah.
If it is, it may not.
It would.
You know, it could be.
It was a short meeting, yeah.
If they won't.
But there were-
I think Albert will donate us a ball. If not, he's gonna take.
There was some interesting discussion.
That's not.
We'll figure it out.
Mental health is always the number one topic at any of those things.
That's kind of bring people in town. So we can
And
put
Centerstone
grant
had
in
4
June.
people there.
And we're able to get some money off of that, so I think we can cover it. I think it's pretty cool. Somebody come up with this idea in our class meeting.
No, not, it was, nobody from DCS was introduced, I'll put it that way. But there was a guy there that spoke,
Doug Thomas wants us to come.
and he wasn't on the agenda, and his name was not listed on the
They only got 6
And then
minutes.
with the 27 classes.
The agenda.
So we thought we'd.
I never did figure out who he was. So
I know
this-
some things that we want to take out. I've got the list. I'm gonna reach out there, see if there's anything there that the city would want to take out. Anything the school would want to take out. Any of us have anything that we want to take out.
No, did you get one?
Just have the kids.
Did you get a letter,
Those
an
kids,
anonymous letter
their stuff
about the
happened
extension
just
office?
50 years later.
See, I got about 3
You
of them.
did?
Because this is also.
I got about 3 of them last year around
The country.
Yes, and this is,
All coincides.
yeah, the historic society just got involved. It's after
I'll read it
July.
later, but
I think they can promote it, but it's also, but maybe a deal for everybody.
I think so.
That could be good.
inside
We'll get it done.
We'll get her done.
Good idea, Larry.
there's a lot of inside.
Well, but I'll tell you how much credence I give. If it's an anonymous letter, I don't really even care whether I read it or not. Okay. By the clock on the wall, it's 8:30, so I'll call the meeting of the Lawrence County Solid Waste Management District together. First item on the agenda is approval of previous minutes.
Motion to approve as presented.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries. Approval of claims for the period.
Move to approve as presented.
Have a motion
I'll second that.
and a second. The only thing I'll say is it's been working out really good for me to run down and sign those claims so we get them paid before they're past due. So I don't mind doing that, and I appreciate being able, the group allowing me to do that. So I need a motion to approve the claims. I know, I've already done that.
Got that, waiting on.
How about if we vote on it? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. District Director's Report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You want to turn over to page 8 in your agenda. You'll notice the agenda is not as thick today. Hopefully that's a good thing. We'll start off with the discussion that we talked about at our last meeting was our 2026 salary and wage resolution. Again, our plan is to present this at some point probably at a December board meeting. That's our plan. That's what we normally do in past years. I want to start off here at the top under the 2026 budget, salary and wages with no raises. When we originally went into our budget for 2026, and as it stands unless it changes, this is where we were at. So just to give you some bullet points, the current salaried employees would remain the same with the exception of a $1,200 wage adjustment for the controller. The current hourly employees, as of December 31st, 2025, what they were making at that time would be what they would make in 2026. And then there was a stipend of $500 for full-time employees and $250 for part-time employees regularly working 24 hours or more per week. That estimated annual cost is approximately $8,308. So we'll move down, and what this discussion that we're going to discuss next is what we started last board meeting was regarding a percentage raise as opposed to maybe a larger stipend. And I'd mentioned this at the last meeting. There was, what I understood, there may have been the highway department would maybe have seen a 3%, maybe looking at 3% raise. So we were kind of looking at that as a comparison. We generally fall in line with what they do. So a couple options for us to look at here is option one is a 3% raise. I put together some preliminary numbers for that and what that would cost with actual wages and benefits, and it would be around an approximate estimated cost of $30,865 annually. That would be an additional cost. That would be in addition to the stipends of the $500 and the $250 that I mentioned above. Option two, which was brought up at our last meeting as well, that would be a larger stipend instead of a 3% raise. This larger stipend would replace the original proposed stipend of $500 for full-time employees and $250 for part-time employees. The annual stipend amount for this option would be determined by the board of directors. Just for an example purpose, to give us some kind of budgetary number, I put together for $1,500 for full-time employees and $500 for part-time employees working 24 hours or more per week regularly. That estimated cost for that example stipend would be $22,230. Again, that's just an example, and it would be something if the board decided, you would have to decide what that actual stipend amount would be. Now, just for clarity, I would need to talk to the auditor to verify that, if we did either of these, that it could be done through a transfer. Now, in the past, we have done transfers among those personal service, so it should be able to be done, but I would need to clarify that through her. I did speak with Carrie, and I believe she did think that, as far as transfers among it's called the 1,000 line item number, that could be done. But I would want to verify that through Martha first before a final decision was made. If you'll turn over to page 9, for newly hired employees, basically in response to the elimination of the anniversary increments, so that's our plan, is to eliminate that, so there would be no more anniversary increments as of January 1 of 2026. So, establishing what a new employee coming in would make is what this is the discussion and regarding putting together a wage scale. So for an example, let's say you have a driver position. Maybe you'd have a wage scale A, B, C, D, and E. And I think the county has something similar to that is what they're doing in their wage scale for next year. It would just be one line. There would not be an anniversary increment from year to year for current employees. It'd just be a one-time thing for those new employees starting after January 1st. It would not apply to current employees, only newly hired employees after January 1st. I'm kind of working on that now, haven't got it ready to present to the board, and that's something I can bring to the board and show them at the next meeting. As far as funding for a 3% raise or larger stipend, at this point, I'm going to continue to update that preliminary information I have put together for the next meeting. In addition, I'm going to review the 2026 budget appropriations to determine if adequate appropriations are available to do either of those. My initial thoughts are it looks like we have enough to do some transfers to make that happen. And again, it would be something I need to talk to Martha about to make sure those transfers could be done. In the event of a larger stipend, the board would need to determine that amount being considered, and once we know that amount, I could determine whether or not there was adequate appropriations to do so. In either case, again, we would probably have to do a transfer to make that happen. So at this point, I guess, given this information, if there's any comments or discussions about, considering, do we want to continue with what we had as status quo going into this, which is basically no raises, just adjustment for the controller, and then the stipend of $500 for full-time and $250 for part-time? Or do you want me to continue to pursue looking at those two options, the 3% raise and the larger stipend, to be comparable to maybe what the highway department's going to do? I don't know exactly if they're going to do that. I think that's going to be done, but Rick, do you have any information?
On the highway?
Yeah.
3%?
Yeah.
That's already done.
Okay, so that's already done. So if we want to continue to look at this, it would be us making a decision whether we want to do a 3% for consideration or move more toward that larger stipend. Larry, you brought up at our last meeting.
I like the larger stipend myself for, again, it's not figured in your 2027 budget, and we don't know what those numbers are gonna be also. I mean, I was thinking on the larger stipend, I was thinking like 2,000 instead of 1,500, and leave it at 500 for the part-time employees. Again, the city, we're doing that. It's not something that we have to worry about trying to come up with the money next year if there is a shortfall. And nobody knows what's gonna happen. I mean, it's a guessing game. It's a guessing game for 26, pretty much. But I mean, that's my opinion, and I like the stipend better than I do the 3% raise. That's figured in your budget. You gotta cover it next year. If you can't cover it, then you gotta cut employees, and you can't afford to cut staff. We've already cut hours of transportation. We don't need to do anymore. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I can run numbers with the $2,000 as well. I can run a couple of different scenarios, and I'm not necessarily asking, for a vote to say which one of these we want to continue with. We'll actually vote on this when we adopt that resolution in December. So this is just getting some more information to the board. And
I mean, on the 3% raise, you were looking at $30,000, and on a $1,500 raise, you're only looking at $22,000. So there's still a little bit. If we could afford to give the $30,000, there's a little. We could give them $500 more, and enlarge the stipend and still be under the $30,000. I'm sure you don't have that many full-time employees. It's going to eat up $8,000.
Right. Yeah. So again, I can put some more numbers together with a larger amount. And look at it that way and present additional information at the next meeting. It'll give me a chance to touch base with Martha as well to come up with, if this is something, we can do. I'll just, based on past year's experience, whenever we were short in one area and we had enough in another area, we were allowed to do those transfers. So I'm assuming that would be the case here, but again, I would want to confirm through her first before, I would give a full recommendation, so.
Larry, let me ask a question. under the larger stipend, what number did you?
I said
propose?
2,000 instead of 1,500, and leave the part-time as $500. I mean, you have more full-time than you do part-time, right?
Well, we have a lot of part-timers, but there's a high majority of those that do not work 24 or more hours per week.
Right.
You know, would only probably be a couple of them qualifying underneath that, so.
So them getting $500 is, you know, for a part-time employee that's working, that's a
Yeah.
decent little chunk. I mean, it's not gonna, you'll spend that in Walmart in one day, but I'm just saying, at least it's a little bit of
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I'm gonna estimate that there probably would be maybe 2, maybe 3 of the part-timers would qualify for that, so.
In my opinion, I think we just need to leave it like it is. They get the stipend as it was set, with no raise, and let it go, is what I think needs to happen.
Well, that was a question I was gonna ask too, that when this was presented to the council, this was presented as a 500 stipend for full-time, 250 for the part-time, with no raises.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, whenever we did the
what-
budgetary process, that's the way it was presented. I think this come up when we later found out, which we didn't find this out until after we'd done a lot of this, the highway department was doing what they were doing. So going into this, I wasn't initially aware that they were proposing that 3%, so that's why I brought it up at the last meeting. It just came to light, so.
It's totally different money, though. Theirs is totally motor vehicle highway, has nothing to do with property taxes. And your budget affects the general fund property tax levy because you are using part of the income from property tax.
That's true, yes.
So it does affect the general fund, because when they figure that, they start off with you and the libraries and all this exterior stuff, and those are presented, and those come right off the top with the property tax dollars. The schools is included in that. And then there's a few internal ones, the health department, the airport, a few other things, they get fixed first. And then basically county general gets whatever's left after all those other levies have been met. And so consequently, I'm not in favor of doing anything that's going to change that number, because we're not nearly as flush as it thinks it is. We did a lot of sleight of hand things this time to come up with as budget as decent as it was, moving things to lit and various other funds that are perpetual funds and things that will not be sustainable, that will expire within 1 to 2 years, most of them, and the lit may not even make it through next year. And so consequently, I'm not for anything more than the proposed stipends that was presented at budget time and no raises, is where I'm at.
And that's another thing that I've warned you on too, is on that lit tax, that's going away in 27. You realize that?
Yes, yeah, you did mention that, yeah. Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly what their numbers are for solid waste. Do you, Scott?
I just know that, like, if you were going to do this, what you're wanting to do now would actually affect what we adopted for our budget going in. So now, that would, well, like I said, since that's been adopted and what Martha's turned in, I don't think you can come back. Now what, the motor vehicle fund was completely different, and then they did do that, and presented that during the budget process where it was all adopted when we did the resolution, and this would all be after the fact, so
I don't think they can, because it's already been uploaded. I don't think you can. And that's what I say, that's what would have been sent in, is what we actually okayed was the 500 stipend for full-time, 250 for part-time. And then this 1,200 wage adjustment, I don't think that was on there.
Yes, we did. Basically, we increased the controller's salary. It is in there in her salary. It was in that. So I'm just giving you the actual amount it was increased, but it was included in there.
Okay. I'll go back and pull it.
Any further? Well, this is, I don't think we've come to a determination that's ready to be voted on. If you're gonna try to present this in December, we'll have another meeting
Yeah.
between now and then.
Right.
And I'd suggest everybody get their mind wrapped around what we think is the proper thing to do. So,
And, you know, I will say again, this is, what we did at the top there is what we originally went into the budget and what we had planned to do. And again, I just brought this up as a subsequent thing that I just, you know, found out about the highway, which we wasn't aware of that coming in, so. All right, so that's,
I'll ask one more question on the ABCD thing on the salary ordinance currently. Isn't that based off of degrees and large part of experience? It's not just a willy-nilly thing. It's got a specific criteria to it.
Some of them have specific requirements to qualify for any scale,
Yeah.
like first deputies and things like that, that has a requirement.
what we have in our wage or in our resolution, basically as it stands now for 2025, and what we've normally done in the past is when we hire somebody new, Edwin and I both, for our departments, have the option to look at employees' past experience and give them up to 5 years credit for experience. And I think I was kind of trying to look for something like that, that if you're hiring somebody on new, instead of having just this base beginning rate for someone who, like, let's say a driver has some experience, giving them some credit for that. So that's kind of what I was looking at.
Which is totally different than what happens with all the rest of the county, because everybody else starts at the bottom. I tried to do that when I wanted to hire a different fellow for the highway foreman, and they wouldn't allow me to exceed the wage scale.
So they just have like a beginning, starting, that's where it's at, yeah.
I got one question that may not even pertain to it, but you're talking about this changing the end of the year. So if you hire somebody in December, that is your current wage scale, how it's set up, and then if you change that and hire someone the first of the year, and you change that wage scale, if someone's got experience or something, are you gonna have hiring somebody after the first year that would be getting more money than somebody that you hired at the end of the year or not, depending on how your wage
I'm not
scale?
sure what he's doing now.
Yeah.
I think they're starting a new truck driver, what I saw added the other day, at $21.53 an hour at the county, I believe is what I read. Is that comparable to what you're
I
doing?
think,
Or
I don't have it
what
here.
now? I don't have any idea.
I think don't quote me on this, but I think it's around 19 something is where we're starting our new CDL drivers at. I think it's around 19 something. So,
Which I didn't have any idea where you
Yeah.
were exactly.
And that's about where the highway department was prior to the increase, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they're at now for a beginning rate was around 21 something of that nature. And then I think if they do the 3%, it'll bring that up, whatever that 3% is as well, so.
I haven't.
And I can do some more research on that as well and have those numbers as well for the next meeting, so. Actually, I may.
I don't have a salary ordinance with me.
Okay, yeah, it's,
3% would be about 70 cents.
so 2123 is their beginning rate for their truck drivers, so I guess it'd be 3% on top of that, so.
Do what now? What'd you say it was?
2123.
Yeah, that's what they just advertised it for.
Yeah. And I think, so it'd be what, about 2187,
Well, if you let them have the 3%.
if at 3%, yeah.
If we hold them where they are and just give this stipends as it's
Right.
advertised, it'll stay the same.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and I'll do some more research on that, and then I'll present some more at our November meeting, so.
I'll just state the obvious. In today's world, keeping employees is a difficult thing to do. And when your wage scale gets to the point where people are not interested in working for you due to the wage scale, it'll come back to bite you eventually.
Well,
So,
the difference is in county government over the private sector. I mean, there's so many paid days off and so
14.
much latitude that's unreal compared to the real world. And I don't see that we have a tremendous amount of people running out the door, and it's because of those extra benefits and the time off and the ease of the work conditions, I'll say.
we'll see that truly evidenced when you have an opening and you put it out for applications.
I mean, they've got an application out now, they've got 4 applicants for it that are CDL qualified supposedly.
Yeah, they do.
So,
2 of them are for my district.
We've had some, it seemed like post-COVID, there was a period of time where it was more challenging. It's probably getting a little bit better than what it was in the past, you know, as far as finding applicants, so.
Okay,
All right.
let's move on.
All right, so let's move on to page 10 of the agenda. Okay, just want to give you an update on the Star Stop Collection Station improvement project. It has actually began yesterday. That site is going to be closed through Friday, and our plan is to reopen it on Monday. And yesterday, we had the utility company disconnect electrical service, and we removed the old shack and then replaced it with a new one. Today, they're completing, over the next 2 days, we'll be doing some electrical work. And then Thursday, our plan is to restore electrical power, and on Friday, to install the refurbished compactor that we purchased earlier this year. So, and then our goal is to have it back open and ready to go for operation on Saturday, October 25th. So. All right, the next item on the agenda is the transfer station floor maintenance project. One of the evaluation report completed by the engineer, there was one area in particular, I believe the mayor brought up, was regarding that area that was 8 by 8 at the north tipping bay that was cracked, and movement was noticed when the backhoe traveled over this area. So I contacted the engineer about that area and asked them, you know, in the event that we're not doing any floor repairs at this time, is this something we need to address sooner than later? And also asked him, you know, can these repairs be delayed into the future, maybe the anticipated 2 to 5 years, as the other parts of the floor are predicted to need. So basically, his response was that the north tipping bay that area should be good for a while, like the other parts of the floor. The engineer said it's not breaking up now, and that the repair was noted in the report because if we go to fix the floor, he wanted to make sure this repaired before the new floor gets installed. So it sounds like, based on what he said, we should be okay and waiting until we get, you know, do the other portions as well. At this point, I don't have any recommendation to do anything, and we really, at this point, it's in the winter, you couldn't do anything anyway. It's something that we can monitor it and keep an eye on it to make sure, you know, it's still holding up, and then address this at a later date, so. That's all I had for today, so.
Okay. Under old business, a few months ago, we talked about trying to get rid of the wood processor that's down there at the recycling center. I've had a request from the Community Corrections, Chad Shue. Between he and the prosecuting attorney, Sam Arp, are wanting to start a program where they're using community corrections people to cut firewood and make it available to low-income households. And they've asked for for me to bring it before the solid waste board to see if that piece of equipment would be available to loan to them and let them utilize it in areas where it'd be feasible to make the processing of wood available to these low-income. So I wouldn't give him an answer until I brought it before the board. But the equipment sat there now for, what, 4 or 5 years probably, something like that. When we did post it and try to sell it, we didn't get a lot of response in that.
Actually, we hadn't posted it yet, but with this being brought up, we did discuss posting it and getting it sold at some point, but, you know, I understand this was brought up, and, you know, if it's something we want to do is, in loaning it, you know, do we need to, you know, is there any liability associated if you're just loaning it to them? Is there anything we need to?
Well, I've been curious about that too, and I think Community Corrections is going to need to make certain that that liability issue is covered.
We could ask the attorney as well,
Yeah,
maybe. So.
But as I understand it, they do have a couple of locations where there's quite a bit of firewood available there, and they could move this piece of equipment in. And are you all familiar with what I'm talking about? And it's been sitting there for a long, long time. So rather than to continually sit there and depreciate and degrade, I would prefer to see it being used and not given to them. We would maintain ownership of it, but allow them to use it and do the upkeep on it as well. So
I think, Rodney, when I talked to Ron about that, what, a week or so ago, that's when all this started with the prosecutor's office and community corrections. You said that had been maintained, correct?
Yeah, I believe the guys I think it was last year, they went through it. I can have them just to confirm, but I believe it's up, everything's up to ready to go and stuff on that, so.
'Cause I know Sam talked about using, and you and I talked about that too, some of
Yeah.
the wood from out there. So I don't know what they're doing.
well, I think this will be a minuscule amount, but part of the brush issues that we deal with and having to hire somebody to come up and chip that all up and stuff could be eliminated by them going out there and using the processor on the landfill area. How much of that is usable, I don't know, but it's more than what's being used for right now.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I know when we were using it up on top of the hill there, it seemed like there was a time where we were getting better quality material, but it seems like what we get out there now is just, for that processor, you almost have to have good straight wood to load on there, and we just wasn't getting that like we
I know.
used to, so.
But as I've been informed, they have 2 facilities, I think they're church camps, but I don't know, where there's gonna be a lot of timber taken down, and they be able to utilize it there. And so I'm presenting it to you. I think it's a good idea. Community Corrections probably, it's a good program if they get it done properly. So,
Would you like, if the board decides to do that, which I think it's a good idea as well, do you want, the attorney, do we talk to them as far as any type of an agreement, or do you want us to have any?
I think there probably ought to be something formal. Yeah, that's my opinion, just because of the liability.
Maybe some kind of interlocal agreement or something of that nature. So I can do that. I can touch base with him to see if he can get something together.
So do we want to make a motion now, or we want to wait till we get the letter? They're anxious to begin the process.
I think they've already bought the saws and everything.
They have.
Yeah.
They've got it.
So that's fine.
If you want to make a motion pending legal considerations.
Yeah. I'll make a motion pending legal considerations unless we find out some detrimental information there that we allow.
Okay, have a motion?
Yeah.
Second.
Larry seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Motion carries. Okay, new business. Anyone? Public comment? You're the only public here, so. Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Just a quick note as well. At the last meeting, it was brought up regarding, Jeff, you'd mentioned about some construction debris maybe getting turned away. And we've had a couple issues with getting enough empty trailers from our contractor adequate to keep us going out there. It's not consistent, but it does happen occasionally. So I've talked to them about that, and hopefully we can make sure we've always got empty trailers available to us to load and not have to worry about turning any types of loads away. You know, if you're out on a Saturday, it can get crazy busy, and even during the week at times. And if the guys have all trailers that are full and one in the pit that's halfway full, maybe they're waiting on the city of Bedford to bring in a load, and we don't know when that next empty trailer's coming in. They're like, well, you know, we're afraid to take this load if we don't know if we're gonna have enough even for the city. So we're trying to make sure that we're maintaining enough empty trailers so that doesn't happen in the future. We have been asked to load our trailers heavier with more weights, but after talking to my leader, we're doing the best we can based on, many transfer stations have a big storage area where they have a light stuff here and heavy stuff here. They try to mix it and max those loads out. We don't have that convenience to do it. So when something comes in, we have to load it. And if you get a lot of light stuff in there, you're not getting maybe the weights that our contractor once hauled, so.
If you had two bays with a trailer available in each bay, you could make better decisions, but you don't have that.
Yeah.
So.
And I know like a larger transfer station, a lot of times they'll have this big area where they sort out, like maybe they'll have shingles here and lighter stuff here, and they'll just optimize those loads through, you know, loading the best they can. So we just don't have that available, so.
Okay. Thank you all. I wonder why I didn't get it.
I gotta guess.
I'll glance at it real quick. But I do not give much credence to an anonymous letter, period.
Nobody ever done about it yet before like that.